please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I welcome you all to this December 14th Board of Trustees meeting. I think it's our last meeting before next year. So after this, we'll see you next year. We've got starting off, we got the Employee of the Month. And the Employee of the Month is a young guy that has been working in the building department. He's a very impressive person if you've ever met him. Certainly, John Forster thinks very highly of him. He's really, in the past year or so, he's been working very hard, attending different schoolings for building and to end up being a building inspector. And I will read you what John wrote about him. The Employee of the Month is Derek Hinesmith. The building department remains very busy and does not seem to have rest periods based upon the seasons of the year. The process is continuous to expedite applications that involve the Southampton Village zoning and building codes, permitting processes, zoning board, planning board, architectural and historical board, planning commission, applications concerning applicants and neighboring properties. Also, the process involves research for lawsuits involving review boards, neighbors, and their attorneys. Derek Hinesmith was hired in the village building department in the year 2010 to give the building department additional support in organizing paperwork and input of new applications into our computer records for access by the public. I will say, I add that Derek is very compatible with the computer, and he was entering in all the data and information that was sitting in various files on the floor of the building department, and it was pretty impressive. He goes on to say Derek was a freshman in high school at the time. Derek's goal is to continue to work in public service through the full-time position when available in the Southampton Village Building Department. After high school, building code of the state of New York. In addition, Derek has taken and passed the Code Enforcement Officer exam by New York State. Also, Derek is helping in the office and is our liaison with the town tax assessor's office for supplying information and with applications or citizens with questions at the building department's front counter. Derek is also helping do inspections at building sites and is being scheduled to help the fire marshal in commercial inspections. I therefore am recommending Derek Hinesmith as Employee of the Month and congratulate Derek for his accomplishments and 7 years of pursuit as now qualified for being a New York State building inspector. Supporting letters here from Suffolk County, completion of his code enforcement, various certificates from the state of New York for his additional extended studies. Unbelievable, very impressive kid. Here's his picture. If none of you have seen him.
They just
I wish
did.
He's here tonight.
There we go.
You were hiding in the corner. I didn't even see you. And on top of it, you get an Employee of the Month plaque. And Derek, this is probably the most important part of it. I'll let you open that. So please, it'd be a pleasure to shake your hand. Come up here.
There it goes on the wall.
Derek's a great job. Thank you. Terrific work. Appreciate you doing extended education. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time. You should put that in a spot that you can see.
Thank you.
And there you go. And don't forget his picture, yeah.
I thought that goes on the wall.
We have two.
Oh, we have two.
And I ride in the orange stand, picture.
Yeah. That's what I was going to show you.
Got an autograph.
Derek, absolute pleasure. And the board, all of us appreciate the work you've done, and maybe one day we'll get off of those paper files on the floor.
That's my goal.
There you go. Thank you.
Something to show my son when I go home. There you go.
Yeah. Business, he goes out of his way to studying stuff, and it's pretty impressive.
And he's young.
And he's young. That's key.
We'll have him for a while.
Public comment, we have Christian Picard.
Members of the board, good evening. My name is Christian Picot, and I am a village resident of South Main Street. And for the benefit of those who I haven't met yet, I'm the new chair of your ethics board. I'm here to fully support the extension of the pyramid law to all residential zones, and I want to take the time this evening to thank the Planning Commission, Paul Travis, and Studio AB Architect for their work. I sat in this room to hear their presentations earlier in the year. I watched the meetings of the Planning Commission on our website, and I read the 50-page report posted there. The work was necessary and extensive. They coordinated with the ZBA, the ARB, the building department, and made thoughtful recommendations. We will soon be in 2008, and we now need to make some real zoning decision. This amendment is a good first step, and I'm looking forward, as other village residents, to other zoning decisions to be enacted soon, including the GFA. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another individual signed up, Judy Johnson.
Good evening, board. I know all of you already. I'm here only to thank you for your support of our senior party at the Historical Museum, and this year the other two events, which were held at the nursing home. And the reason for that was that we were able to entertain and give a party to 20 people in their own setting. Even though we'd like them to get out of the building and come to the museum, it's just too difficult with the transportation and the aids, etc. So anyhow, thank you for your support, and I hope you'll continue to do that, and especially Kim and the mayor for coming that day. I hope you enjoyed it. We had quite a few leftovers, because in this village there were so many things going on that day. And I'm wondering if there is a clearinghouse for events somewhere in the village, because the leftovers that we had, Steve and I discussed it, and paper goods we're saving for next year with the jingle bells, and the cookies you said we should take to the library, which we did. And I think they sent cookies over here also.
We don't want them here. We don't need them.
We have no board presentations. We do have a public hearing, so I'd like to open the public hearing on proposal number 9 of 2017, amending 11612E of the Village Code to require the pyramid law to apply to all residential districts.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Do we have any comments on that from anybody?
Mr. Mayor, I would suggest Mr. Pico's comments that were heard earlier be made part of this record.
Yep. We can. Paul?
Paul Travis of the Planning Commission. I'm here with Laura Davini from the Planning Commission. In 2003, we did a reform of the zoning code under C-Mac Sammy, who was chair of the commission at the time, and instituted both gross floor area and the pyramid law in the smaller lots, which was very much the focus of our zoning at the time, was the much larger houses being built in the smaller lots and how to ameliorate the impact of that. Interesting enough, in 2015, when the trustees asked us to look at zoning in the FEMA zone, and we brought in Nelson, Pope, and Voorhees to look at it, one of the issues that they raised in their review in that area was trying to understand why the pyramid law had not been put into effect there. And in fact, they very much worked the proposal for that zone under the assumption that the pyramid law would eventually go into effect. When we hired Studio AB in 2016 to look more generally at the zoning, it was one of the earliest proposals they made to us. And I think given the building pattern we've seen in the village in the last few years, extending the pyramid law to the larger residential lots is the right thing to do. It will have impact mostly on narrower lots, but I think it's something that will be very helpful. And as I said, will also be very helpful in the FEMA zones. So I thank you for voting this for the hearing, and hope we can move forward.
I would just say that we looked at this previously.
Right.
And, my concern always was that, and I sort of been proven wrong, and it was irrational, is that the pyramid law would center most of the larger houses in the center of the lots. And I sort of felt that the diversity of house placement on the lots was really what made the historical district and the village. And I was concerned that applying the pyramid law to the larger lots would eliminate that. But as I understand it, it really doesn't.
It really doesn't. All it really does is, as I think you know, it will cause the house to pull back as it goes up at the sides. And I think what we've particularly seen, and it was interesting in the FEMA zone because so many of those lots, while very large, are very narrow. It will really ameliorate the impact, as it does in the small lots, on the neighbors who are otherwise facing pretty much a wall next to them. So it's one of the ways I think which we've been trying to do in the
didn't foresee. And, you know, we didn't think that someone would maximize a large lot simply because they could.
Right.
And so that.
Right. I mean, I think generally, and a lot of the things we'll be forwarding to you over the next 6 months are really a response to how the market has changed. So people are really, I think in most cases when people build now, whether it's a 15,000 square foot lot or it's a 120,000 square foot lot, they're really looking at what they can obtain in gross floor area. So we're trying to make sure those houses, when they're being built, are built in a way that really is, I think, respectful. And that will be, I think, very much the theme you'll be hearing from us over the next few months.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. Anybody else from the public have a comment? Any of the trustees have a comment?
I just wanted to follow up with what you agree with what you said, Mayor, because when we did address this a couple of years ago, this was one of the things that came up, and we implemented a few things at the time, and the discussion was to revisit as we go along. But I remember there was discussion and some apprehension of how what impact it would have had. So we see that it has some impact, and you revisit it, and then we're going to make the changes. So that's the good news. But you covered it all. How we did look at it. I remember there was some pretty lengthy discussion about it, but we decided to leave it out at the time.
No, and we did. I mean, my goal is always to try to get ahead of the curve, and just that curve seems to stay in front.
You're right.
Doesn't seem to work too well.
But Paul and his group revisited it, and now they were able to address it quickly enough. That's the good part.
Any other comments from trustees or public?
I just wanted to thank the Planning Commission. I see Laura Davini, hello. I know you've looked at this at many different angles. You have heated debate, which is good. You're all independent thinkers, which is terrific. At one of the last ARB meetings, one of the residents came up and they mentioned, you can watch this on tape, they said, "I feel so hemmed in from both my neighbors. I've not only lost my sunny backyard, but they can see what I'm watching on TV." So it's a little funny, but it's not. And, the pyramid law, obviously, you instituted it prior. Now this will help across all the different lot sizes. So thank you for looking at that.
Wayne, you had a comment?
I just want to, for the record, indicate that you did receive a response to your referral to the Suffolk County Planning Commission by letter December 1st to the board, that they determined this to be a matter of local determination, and as such, if it is the board's desire, they could close the hearing tonight. I have also delivered to the village clerk a number of days
Amending the section 116, 12E of the Village Code to require the pyramid law to apply to all resident districts.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. And then I'd make a motion to accept
the notice of adoption.
the notice of adoption of the Proposal 9, 2017, Section 116, 12E of Village Code.
Second?
Second?
Roll call vote. Trustee Az?
Aye.
Trustee Allen?
Aye.
Mayor Irving?
Aye.
Trustee McCann?
Aye.
Trustee Hatcher? And aye. So moved.
The only thing I would ask is to confirm that it is local law number 9. We're in proper sequence. Okay.
Yep.
That's all.
Except we're adopting it before we're adopting number 8.
So
Technically, it's number 8.
or is it 8.5?
Should be number 8.
Motion, right then? Okay.
We have no communications to the board. Before we go into suggested resolutions, Rich's son is an incredible musician, and, you know, I've got to say that after I heard myself singing Christmas carols, I was just so embarrassed.
He was pretty good.
And he has a concert tonight?
Yeah, I got a few minutes still to spare.
So what I was going to say, if Rich sort of runs by us and out the back door, he's not leaving because anybody insulted him. He's going to his son's concert, so, which is pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Suggested resolutions.
Item 1, resolved that the reading of the minutes of the work session of November 21st, 2017 be dispensed with, and those minutes be accepted as followed by the village administrator. The actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Got a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Resolved that the claims for the warrants dated December 14th, 2017, totaling $592,919.24. Warrant 9, General Fund, $67.12. Warrant 12, Trust Fund, $27.50. Warrant 7, Expense Trust Fund, and $52,343.50. Warrant 7, Capital Reserve Fund. And village payrolls for the period from November 10th to December 7th, 2017 be ordered and approved. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second?
Discussion. Item 1 on page 1, AC Electrical Supplies, $1,618.74. Page 2, Atlantic Tactical PD Holsters, $2,765.52. Black Gold Industries, Asphalt Patch, $2,083.88. Page 3, Cast Productions, Video Services for November 17, 2610. Page 4, CC Electronics, Chief Vehicle Equipment for the Fire Department, $1,080. Coastal Fire Systems, Scott Pack Repair for the Fire Department, $2,224.50. CSE Employee Benefit Fund, Firematic Supply, hose nozzles, $1,140. First Presbyterian Church, parking lease for December, $3,000. Fluid Imagery, 2 payments for PD services, $1,056.01 and $2,160. Fowler's Garden Center, park supplies, $1,511.02. Page 8, Global Montello, 2,633 gallons of diesel fuel, $5,315.72. Page 9, Herrick Hardware, supplies flowing on to page 10, $1,201.06. Page 11, Johnson Electrical, traffic signal maintenance for November, $1,350. Kyocera Document Solutions, 2 lease payments, $1,044.04 for PD. Page 15, Messiano Consulting, November Grant Services, $1,212.50. Morgan Auto Supply, supplies for the garage, on to page 13, $1,644.60. Morpho Trust, scan system for the PD, $19,394, of which $10,000 will be reimbursed from a grant. Nina Foundry, rates for the Highway Department, $1,129.76. Page 14, payments to Nelson Pope and Boyce for the Planning Board, $1,738.70, and for the ZBA, $1,706.25. Norsec and Sons, cesspool services, $1,825, and carding for November, $4,832. Page 15, New York State Health Insurance for January, $335,053.32. Office of State Controller for September fines, $12,860, and October fines, $14,855.40. Page 16, Priority Dispatch, License Reader Software Agreement, $1,680. Page 17, PSE&G for the Fire Department, $3,936.69. Robinson and Robinson Esquire Legal Services through 2017 for the ARB, $37,530. Page 17, going on to 18, Shoreline Towing for November, $1,550. Sprague Operating Reserve, 3,000 gallons of gas, $5,000. Strategic Safety Dynamics, Fire Department gas meters, $3,028. True North Consulting for the ARB, $1,387.50. Page 19, Suffolk County Water Authority bills for the parks, $2,719.05, and for the buildings, going on to page 20, $1,421.83. Anthony Tohill, legal fees for November, $3,200. Truck King International, truck repair, $1,414.45. Vehicle tracking solutions, GPS services for November, $1,127.53, and a Verizon bill for November, $3,699.88. And page 22, W.S. Darley, fire equipment, $1,340.94. Next warrant is a capital reserve warrant. Payment to MTech Consulting Engineers for engineering services on the ambulance barn, $5,500. Home Technology Experts, AV equipment for the firehouse, $5,274.99. 2 payments to Pursuit Auto Emergency Lights and lights and computer equipment for 3 police vehicles. Day, Tuesday, December 25th. Half day for New Year's Eve, Monday, December 31st. New Year's Day, Tuesday, January 1st, 2019. And 2 floating holidays to be used during the year. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the hiring of Devis, Bell & Barrett, LLP, to represent the village in the Article 78 action by Rosewood Realty, LLC, Joyce Giaffra, Robert Giaffra Jr., and Whitney Stevens at an hourly rate of $2.25. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the hiring of Wayne Bruin, Esquire of O'Shea, Markinuk, Marcinsuck, and Bruin,
Doing
LLP.
so well.
I got a hint from Bill. Help me out on that. Thanks, Bill.
Riddle, everything taking a breath.
There you go. There you go. To represent the village in the Article 78 action by Eric Ruttenberg, Perry Pulse Ruttenberg, Robert Marston, and Nicholas Aquavella at an hourly rate of $2.25. Have a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the equal allocation of approximately $17,300 in the Federal Community Development Block grants to Southampton Daycare and Human Resources of the Hamptons Food Pantry, and authorizes the mayor to execute any documentation that may be required to receive such funds. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the transfer of $50,000 from the Fire Equipment Reserve to the Fire Facilities Reserve. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the transfer of $175,000 from the Major Equipment Reserve to the Facilities Reserve. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget adjustment for the fiscal year ended May 31st, 2017. Increased law contractual $60,200, increased police equipment $9,000, increased fire equipment $32,000, and increased state aid mortgage recording tax $101,800. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved the Board of Trustees hereby approves attached schedule of budget transfers to May overages for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2017. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, item 1, $1,200 out of clerk telephone, $500 out of court supplies, with $1,700 going into justice court equipment. Second item is $725 coming from street lighting and electricity to supplies. Third item is $550 coming out of ambulance supplies, $1,350 out of employee benefits ambulance, $2,270 out of garage contractual, $1,000 out of garage telephone, with $470 going into ambulance miscellaneous, and $4,700 into ambulance equipment. Next one is $2,375 from street maintenance supplies, $490 from street maintenance personnel, $705 from building inspector supplies, $480 from street maintenance fuel, with $4,050 going into street maintenance contractual. Next item is 3,500. Member of Southampton Hose Company Number 1, effective December 14, 2017. You have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And last item, resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following payments from the Capital Reserve Fund, subject to permissive referendum. M-Tech Engineers, $5,500 from the Ambulance Bond Fund. Home Technology Experts, $5,274.99 from the Fire Equipment Reserve. Pursuit Auto Emergency, $30,115.78 from the Equipment Reserve, and Tyco Integrated Security, $11,452.73. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion items. For the adoption of the on-site wastewater treatment systems.
Mr. Mayor, at the last meeting, you had a public hearing and closed the hearing, but during the hearing, you received comments about the timing of the effective date, and I did deliver to the board at that date. It's not in your packet, but it was an amendment that changed the effective date from January 1st to March 1st of 2018. And that was in the form of a notice of adoption, so the hearing was closed with that being part of the record. You had received a letter from the Planning Commission, although it's not required, that it was a matter of local determination, and so you're in a position at this point to consider the notice of adoption of the law.
I'd like to then make a motion.
The only suggestion I make is, since you
The
adopted
March.
the other local law before, this would be local law number 9.
Are you sure?
I asked Steve to make sure we didn't adopt something in between.
I didn't get to the third item yet, Wayne.
And before I make the motion, is there any comments from the trustees?
I'm all good with it.
I mean, the purpose of changing the date was to allow people that have applications pending to get them resolved before they had to resubmit. So I will make a motion to accept local law number 9 of 2017, LL amending Village Code Chapter 43, requiring innovative and alternative on-site wastewater treatment systems.
Second? Roll call vote. Trustee Yaz?
Aye.
Trustee Allen?
Aye.
Mayor Irving?
Aye.
Trustee McCann?
Aye.
Trustee Hattrick?
Aye.
So moved. I'd just like to say, I think that's a great move on our part. And put in treatment systems that are advanced and are with today's technologies. With that said, a lot of these systems are fairly sophisticated, and some of them they're still trying to get the bugs out of. But in all, it's the right thing to do. And I think another item, we have the December 26th meeting.
Yeah, typically, we always, cancel the second meeting of the month of December due to the holidays, subject to anything coming up that needs to. We can always reschedule a special session.
Okay. So I would make a motion to cancel the December 26, 2017 work session.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The only one that tends to be elf on the shelf.
Yeah. Which allows us to meet next year. And the third item we have here is the proposal for the exemption of properties improved in accordance with the Disabilities Act of 1990. Maybe
Yeah, Danielle had raised an issue with Wayne. She has a resident that is, looking, I think the town does this, and Wayne can explain this a little bit further, but for people that need to put in some kind of improvement to their house, and specifically this woman is handicapped and she's putting in an elevator in the house, and, according to the American Disabilities Act, we can give her an exemption, a partial exemption on her taxes based on the value of the improvement that she's making, to her home. Wayne, you want to expand on that a little more on your research?
Exactly. This arose through the assessor's office, and the New York state law, section 459A, specifically authorizes villages, towns, counties to allow or adopt a local law to provide for such an exemption. And the procedures, what you have before you is essentially mirrors the state law. The state law also allows you to add eligibility requirements. I did review a couple other local codes, particularly the town of Southampton, which they've had a form of this in place for a number of years, going back to the 90s when the Americans with Disabilities Act was first adopted. In particular here, the conditions would be in the form of just proof that the owner, there is some applicable disability that has resulted in the improvement to the property. So this local law would schedule a public hearing for your first meeting in January, if you want to consider that.
approved in accordance with the Disability Act of 1990.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
So that would be January 11th.
11th, right.
Okay, comments from board members.
I guess I still got a quick
Well,
second to say
you
something.
didn't skate fast enough.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lou. Quick read there. Thank you, Steve. Well, two things, sadly and of course good. I would like to, I'm sure everybody knows, but extend my personal condolences and my family to the family of Robert Stelling, good friend of our families, good friend to a lot of people in this community. His entire family is, in one way, shape, or form, through the Peconic Beach Club, which we're members of, and he taught my children tennis and swimming and all that. So we participated in that. Obviously, his wife, Dawn, tragic loss for her, and her with the veterinary. So she's touched everybody who has a pet, just about, in the town, in the village, and certainly with the children, all the same age as mine, and so between sports and activities and concerts and such. So true community people, and very tragic loss, a very sad loss, so condolences. So I just wanted to say that, but also then on a good note, I did want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. And again, thank all our departments for the village. The village looks beautiful. Our DPW, once again, is risen above. And I want to thank also the Ocean Rescue Team for their inaugural showing at the Polar Bear Plunge this past weekend. So with that, again, I thank you guys. Merry Christmas. I gotta go.
Well, Rich, thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor, for
We'll let you go.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Thank you. Lucky guy. Yep.
Thank you.
Trustee Allen?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to address some of our progress on our code of ethics. We hired outside counsel, and this board has had in-depth preliminary reviews with regards to the content of our code of ethics. We look forward to providing feedback on the initial draft as well as launching training in early 2018. And this training is to go to all of our village staff and contractors in the new year. I don't know if anybody else would like to add something to that.
No, it's, you know, your efforts with it have been certainly appreciated.
Well, everyone's been on board in a great way. I thought one to hear all sides, and we all do, but we definitely want to look at this because it's a big area of complaints for all of us, I think. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that?
No, well, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was going to say, one of the difficulties of using that kind of equipment in our village is that most of our lots are small lots, and when you get a number of those machines going at once, it is really, it's an invasion of privacy. And, you know, it's not only the leaf blowers. We used to always use, I can't remember, Wayne, you probably remember the name of those hitch cutters, the red ones that were electric. They're Lawn Boy or something.
I was a painter, but not a landscape. Restaurant guy.
They had a name to them, and they usually ran them off a generator. And they were relatively quiet. They were electric. Today, they insist on all using these gas-powered hedge cutters. And those in unison with the leaf blowers and the weed cutters, I mean,
And the lawnmower.
and lawnmowers, on a weekend in a small community, it can get pretty nervy.
Well, I think it's interesting because we have had a group here before. I don't know if this is a different group. It would be nice if it was a different group. But they talked about there are some people who who live in the estate area, who have a crew, their normal crew, who went out and bought them, their entire crew, all equipment that ran on batteries. And it's made a huge difference. And they can use it on other jobs too, but it's made a huge difference. We've kind of done that in the village. We're replacing out a lot of our equipment with battery packs instead of the gas-fired.
Yeah.
So I think it's wonderful. I think it's the way it's going to go eventually, hopefully. Yeah.
Maybe we can just get there faster.
Yeah, right. That would be even better. Have gone up, and they're bringing the rest of the neighborhood up to full value. We've had a lot of complaints about it. I said to her that I really would like her input as to what we can do, because I think it's really unfair. We don't reassess in the village based on other homes that have gone up within a neighborhood. We only reassess if someone's doing something to their property, then we will bring them up to their full assessment or close to it at that particular time. And I feel that the local population is having a hard enough time as it is, and we are forcing our people out of not only the village but the area. So she's told me that Scapini actually was the one who put this in, and she said, and she felt that he lost the election because of it. So she said to me that what she would recommend is, she said, you have very good points, and she said, and we do have a shrinking local population, and so she did say that I should have a meeting with, she said, I think Jay Schneiderman would be very open to it. So she said, I think you should go and speak with him, which I intend to do. But I just wanted to give you that little bit of an update. I haven't forgotten about it. I did bring it up at one point, and I intend to take it a step further. I don't know what will happen with it. I don't know if we can get anywhere with it, but I certainly am going to try.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And the other thing is, I do wish everybody a really wonderful holiday. It's coming fast, and too fast, as a matter of fact. But anyway, it should be wonderful, and the village looks great, and I thank all of our wonderful village workers for that. They've done a terrific job out there. So,
What they have.
yeah.
Great job. Thank you. Trustee Hattrick.
Two quick things. At our most recent monthly department head meeting, Nancy, I wanted you to know that somewhere back in the either late 70s or early 80s, one of our mayors planted 39 sweet gum trees in the village, around 4 of which are in front of our office across the street. I think 3 or 4 of them are just north of the village wall, and these are the damnedest things that God ever created. And they drop these little cones, and it takes them about 4 months to drop them all. It's almost like somebody goes up and puts them back up again at night. The other day when we had this meeting, I had noticed this year that the sidewalks and so on, there were no cones, and I can see them in the trees, and I know they're not just going to stay up there till June or something like that. And so I commended, anyhow, the head of your Parks Department. Well, which is nice. And I thought if you can spare 2 seconds, I'll tell you a Christmas story that, and the most dreaded words in Christmas. My wife and I, of course, had the temerity to have 6 children in 10 years, and 5 girls in a row. Sir Brown swore to me that once you have 5 girls, you're going to have 12 or 13 before you could ever hope to have a boy. But fortunately, he was kidding. But anyhow, we also used to have this huge Christmas cocktail party Christmas Eve, and back then we had thousands of local residents, so we don't have any more. This was a huge party, and also, while I haven't had a drink for 27 years, and I wasn't told to stop drinking or anything like that, but I used to get my share. And at these parties, you drink Pinot Grigio for 3 hours, and then finally people go home, and somewhere around 1 o'clock, I'd have to go up to the 3rd floor to bring down all these packages and things that my wife had bought for the children. And I discovered that when you've been drinking and you're tired and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, the most dreaded words in the world are "some partial assembly required." And I survived it, and now I really love Christmas because they've got kids and I can laugh at them. End of sermon.
Thank you, Bill. A couple of things I just want to tell everybody about the events that we have coming up. Before that, I just want to thank all the trustees because they're an unusual bunch. They've all taken on a task, and they followed their task through. As Nancy indicated, she's going to look at the reassessments, and that's a big issue.
It's a huge
It's a huge issue because it affects, really what we were trying to do is keep an older group in Southampton, and we were trying to bring in a younger group, and that reassessment absolutely knocks them out.
And then on top of it, the deduction,
and
the
then
new deduction of
Yep.
10,000, I mean,
Yep.
I just,
And we all signed an agreement that
Right.
went up to Albany.
Right.
I think we sent it.
Yep.
Federal government,
Yep.
went to your legislators.
Right. Concerning the salt tax. So you guys have been doing some terrific work. Yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see the enthusiasm, and I thank you all very much for that. And I think all our employees in the village have been really stepping up to bat. The village looks
never ending.
But it was great to see them all there. I
Yeah, it
think
was
we
good.
had 96,
Yep, 96 people.
yeah, 96 people
Is
there.
that the most we've ever
Which-
had? I don't think so.
In all the years I've been trustee, I've never seen 96 employees in one party at once before, and so, and they're all really good people, and it was great to see them there, and it was great to see them having a good time.
Yeah.
And the food was terrific. You can tell Greg that. In any event, we got a whole bunch of upcoming events that you should be aware of. This Saturday, the Southampton Country Holiday House and Buggy Rides are through the village from 12:30 to 3:30. Great way to celebrate Christmas season, and the village looks so beautiful. We got the Southampton Arts Center's got a jazz concert this Saturday, December 16th at 7 p.m. And then on Friday, December 22nd, we have the White Christmas and the holiday workshops for the family. And of course, the exhibition of Michael Holzbrand's photos, I guess that closes the 31st, but still open. So you should check the websites at Southampton Arts Center. It's the only way to keep up. They have so many events. And then the Southampton Cultural Center has exhibits on the East End arts and the State of Grace. And on the Cultural Center, I will tell you, if you can go and see one of the plays they put on, you really should, because I got to admit, I never really went there and watched their plays. And then I had to, one of my duties, I had to serve cookies in a white robe and hat for the Christmas Carol. And so I sat in and watched the Christmas Carol. It was absolutely superb. It was just really something you should put down and make sure that you go next year, because it was so well done. They do an exceptional job there. And then the Southampton Historical Museum, which we had the senior caroling at, which was a great event. And the trouble was, most of those seniors I felt were
Christmas sweater contest at the Historical Museum. See that? Okay, maybe it was.
Too ugly to tell? I don't know.
I don't know. So, in any event, I wish all of you the most joyous and happy holidays, and I hope you all are visiting with family and friends, and I wish the best to you for that season. And with that note, is there any additional public comment?
You're the most patient man in the world here. Wow. What's that? You're the most patient man in the world. Don't come on the Christmas Eve.
No, I love going through the budget items and listening to them be read out and spend an hour. In any case, we've been talking about future events, and I just want to mention one past event and thank you all for supporting it. About 2 weeks ago, we had an event here in the village called Riptide Sink or Swim, which was a venture competition amongst 20 local companies, local entrepreneurial companies, sponsored by a group which I will admit to being associated with, Hamptons. Our motto is "Innovation is a Beach." And our objective is basically to stimulate entrepreneurship and innovation in the Hamptons. This event was the third event we've had, and it really became a major community effort. As I said, we had 20 companies that were competitors. We had 3,000 people that voted online to narrow it down to 5 companies. We had 4 local distinguished parties acting as panelists to select a winner, led by Kathleen King, probably the most famous local entrepreneur, but supported by David Manette and our own Jeff Broadleaf. We had, I think, 15 or 16 local residents who provided $25,000 in grant money for the winners of the competition. The competition took place with the panelists selecting one winner, and the audience of, I think, 75 to 100 people selected the other winner. We also gave them a bit of office space in New York, so that when they go into New York, they'll have a place to reside. And most importantly, the village was involved. And thank you for providing the venue. I think it was very exciting for us. And I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for opening the event, for having some very good pictures taken, which distinguished the crowd around you. And The idea being here is to start supporting people who are creating companies here in the Hamptons, to start putting the word out that this is a great place to come, and we will support their innovative activities and see if we can bring more young people in this direction. And also, the second objective is that, and this is what we want to do. I want to change the look and see if we can get more people to move out here and to start businesses. One other item which you don't know about is that we did a survey of some 500 prospective members about where we ought to focus the iHamptons activity, and about 75% said in Southampton. Not at the other extremes, because we're the great catchment basin from everybody from Hampton, West Hampton, all the way out to the end of the island. So, but anyways, I just really want to talk about this and then say thank you very much for helping us get this off the ground.
Bruce, thank you. And I think that their intent is to stay here in the village, isn't it?
Yes. We've one of the intents, and it's not exactly, we're not sure how to organize this yet, but we're looking for a site where we can actually create a commingled office space and a sort of a social club and other things for young entrepreneurs to work in together. And it's been very successfully done in the city and elsewhere, but it'll be a bit of a challenge to, first of all, find the right location here. And the second thing is to be sure we've got enough traffic and can be comfortable with that we'll have enough traffic to raise the amount of money that we have to do to buy a site and to start the business. But we're working on it, and we'll see what we get. But the real intent, the intention is, yes, Michael, to put it here in Southampton. My intention is to see that it gets into the village.
Oh, we would love to see it.
And we'd love to be the location to start this here at the east end of the island.
Most of the ones that I spoke to there and in meeting afterwards, they came in and met with me. They're an impressive group.
Well, it was interesting. Kathleen King, I had lunch with the other day, and she said, I saw people there I'd never seen before. She said, I've lived here all my life. And she said, this is just terrific. And she said, to me, this is going to be a great opportunity to meet younger people. But I think it's going to be great if we can get it rolling. But it's not going to be easy. I'm not laying it down, mainly because the same problem we have with everything. It's sort of we're going to have a big season in the summer, and then we've got to figure out how we fill in the rest of the year. But I think we'll get there.
Yeah, nothing's easy.
No.
You had a comment, Nancy?
No, one of the things that when I spoke with Richard Fleming, and she brought up taxes up the island further, and how they're so much higher than we are here. And I said to her, yeah, but they have industry there. We have no industry here. And she said, well, that's a really good point. So if you don't have an industry here, how do you support the huge real estate taxes that they're requiring people to pay? You can't. So she said that's something else that
the way modern businesses are structured, location is sort of an ephemeral idea these days. It just doesn't. So I don't think we're looking at bringing a lot of employment, but we hope we're going to bring a lot of people who are creating businesses. And if everybody, if we do 50 companies and everybody hires 4 people,
Right.
That's an issue.
Right.
I'm not sure they'll all be able to afford to live in the village at the beginning, but we hope all of them will be in a position to buy a huge house 10 years out. But anyways, thank you very much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
the support you've all given.
Yep. Thank you for taking the initiative. Any other comments from the public? No further comments. I motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing legal matters and personnel matters involving village employees.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.